Hey everyone! Today I want to do a demonstration of how to make pine needle tea because people have been asking me about pine needles and how to use them, and I put them in my recent Google Doc for recommendations for basically respiratory infections, and of course specifically we're talking about the COVID-19 infection, which, just as a disclaimer, there's no evidence that white pine is for COVID, and we just really need to be aware that when we're hearing recommendations from herbalists or anybody on the internet that this is new, so we're learning as we go, and there's a learning curve. But based on what we know, there are a few things that might help. And the reason that I'm talking about white pine, well, there's a few reasons. One is that our herbs are being bought out. Our online herb stores are being bought out because people are buying up a lot of herbs because they're scared. And so I like white pine because many of us have this available. Here in my bioregion, in the southern Adirondacks, there's plentiful white pine. I also just want to say, please don't go and strip the white pine trees of their needles. So just be conscientious and follow ethical harvesting guidelines like we always do, which means that we need to, so if there's only one tree, you might not want to gather more than just a little branch. And so that said, I also do have white pine needles for sale on my website. Now, one of the questions of ethics that herbalists have been asking themselves is it okay to make sales at this time from herbs that can help people? And I think that we have to be really careful about that. I want to offer these. I obviously can't do it for free. If you are in need of white pine needles and you cannot afford the price that I'm charging, then send me a message. But otherwise, I do feel like it's okay for us I have to value not only my time, but the plant itself. I have to value the tree. And again, this is while supplies are available. I'm not going to strip white pine trees. I'm not going to go out in the woods and harvest a bunch of white pine and sell it. It's just because I know not everybody has white pine. But first, I would suggest you find white pine in your bioregion. If you don't know if you have any, ask people who might. Ask a local herbalist. I don't know about substitutions. I am specifically talking here about white pine. People have asked if they can use other pines. I don't know. I haven't. And I haven't researched it. It stands to reason, but I can't say yes. Identifying white pine. So here's a small branch. Here is the needle packet. So white pine comes in these little packets, the needles, they're leaves basically, and there's 5 of each. And they're, I don't know, 4 inches long. They can vary in length a little bit. To make a tea, so why do we use this? White pine is really great for getting rid of thick, heavy mucus. And one of the things that we are theorizing so far about this virus is that it creates a tissue state that in traditional Western herbalism we call damp turbidity. And I got this from Matthew Wood, who has a bunch of stuff on his website about COVID-19. So damp turbidity basically means really stuck, heavy thickness. I kind of think of it like mud. And white pine in particular is good for expectorating thick, heavy mucus, infected mucus. Green mucus is one of the signatures for using white pine. Another good thing about white pine is that it's high in vitamin C, which also helps us to fight infection. So I think I covered all my caveats and disclaimers. To make white pine needle tea. Oh, also, if you're allergic to pines, this might not be the thing for you. That's rare. I haven't seen it, but I know I have heard of it happening. So, white pine needles. So basically, I'm going to make a tea here. I have a quart canning jar, metal lid. I'm boiling water. You want to bring your water to a boil. Now, if you've ever been a student of mine, you know I don't measure anything. Drives people crazy, but I don't. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm gonna cut the needles. You don't have to make them really small. And I'm gonna say you're gonna want maybe 3 tablespoons. The little small stems are fine if you get the small stems in there. I'm kind of trying to strip the needles off. It doesn't really matter. The stems have basically the same compounds, only probably a little more diluted. So, and you can do this to taste. So if you want to measure, I would say maybe 1/8 to 1/4 of a cup per pint jar. So boiling water. Now, this is a metal jar. So there's a couple tricks to that. One is to put a piece of metal in the jar. Sometimes what I do is I just add a little bit of water and let the jar heat up a little bit. You could rinse the jar with hot water. You just don't want to break it if it came out of a cold cupboard, because it'll crack. And maybe just add it slowly. Of course, you want to capture the volatile compounds, so you want to cover it as soon as possible, just like any tea. Put the lid on, and I'm going to leave this here for, I don't know, a half hour. I find I have to leave it longer than other teas. And you're not probably going to get a real dark green color. You're mainly going to tell the potency by the flavor. It doesn't seem to turn real green. Usually it stays fairly clear with a little tint of green, and then you'll really taste it. And again, you can do it to your own preference. So that's white pine needle tea. Everybody be well. Thank you. Bye for now.